Greetings to each and every one of you guys. Once again, thank you for taking the time to join us on our sixth episode of the Voices of South Sudanese Women. First of all, I hope everyone is actually okay. This morning, a lot of us have had the chance to experience a very difficult moment, and as we've seen all over the news, Melbourne has gone through a lot due to the earthquake that has occurred this morning. So before we start our sixth episode, I would like to just say that I hope everyone's okay, and I hope you guys are staying safe, staying positive, and honestly just being in the present moment with your families and friends. So I have a special guest in the studio here with me tonight, and I will pass it over to him for him to introduce himself and tell you guys a little bit about his background and where he's from. So I'll pass it on to one of my brothers. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Niji, and hello guys, my name is Kor. I work in a logistic, and I'm really passionate about leadership and personal development, and also I'm very passionate about helping kids back in Kakuma refugee camps to have just to be a better people, have a I would say better guidance, and also have something they can play on, which is a soccer ball. So I'm really passionate on that area.
Beautiful. And in regards to that, you mentioned that you've been supporting a couple of children in Kakuma. Is that Kakuma refugee camp?
Kakuma refugee camp.
Oh, I remember that very well. I was in Zone 5, and growing up as a young girl, I really loved that place. So in regards to that, you did mention that you're very interested in leadership. So my first question to you would be, what is leadership?
That's a very good question. Before you become a leader, you have to ask yourself a couple of questions. What kind of leader do I want to become? What kind of people do I want to lead?
Yeah.
And before you lead yourself first, you have to lead. Before you lead others, you have to lead yourself.
That's it.
Self-leadership is very important. Personal development is very important. You can't lead people that you need. Okay, so before you become a leader, you need to lead yourself.
Yeah.
You need to grow yourself. You know exactly what kind of people you're going to lead.
Yeah.
So leadership, anyone can say that I'm a leader.
Yeah.
Right? But before you become a leader, you need to grow yourself. You need to lead yourself. Then you can go and lead other people. So I hope that answers your question.
That was a very important answer, because in all honesty, it is common sense that as a leader, it's very important to be self-aware.
Absolutely.
First. You've answered that perfectly, because at the end of the day, we cannot lead others without first leading ourselves. So that was very interesting, and I really like that answer. Just before we head on, did you have anything else that you would like to add in there?
Well, speaking of leadership and personal development, for myself, I had to find someone that can actually guide me, because I can't just say, "Oh, I'm a leader."
Yeah.
You have to find someone that actually be in that area, person that walk that path before you, then they can guide you.
Yeah.
In terms of leadership. So that's something that I can add on. Having that guidance, it's very important.
That's amazing. One of the most important things that you've just mentioned as well is actually being able to observe someone that's already done it, someone that's already been there. And it's so important to not just start something of your own. It's good to actually follow someone else's footsteps, because as you've mentioned, obviously they've been there before you. So in regards to that, how important is it to have someone to guide you and provide you with mentorship once you have finally decided that you want to make a change within yourself?
That's a very good question. You just mentioned change. Change is uncomfortable. As many people wanted to change, but they don't want to get out of their comfort zone. Before you change anything, you need to change your habits.
That's it.
What you do on a daily basis. So how important it is to find someone. As I mentioned, change, not many people wanted to do that. Not many people wanted to move out of their comfort zones. So for me, how I was able to, what can I say? How was I able to get out of my comfort zone and become that person that I wanted to become? So they said that human beings learn on observation.
That's it. Yeah.
You learn on observing other people. Let's say, for example, a little kids. They learn on how they see their parents. That's the same thing with leadership. You watch someone, you observe someone, what they do, then you follow that.
Wow.
So they say that criminal run with criminals, right?
Yeah.
So that's how people become leaders. I mean, you lead yourself, as I mentioned, the first thing. You just lead yourself, and then you can go lead other people. So I hope that's answered a bit of your question.
Like, this topic really resonates with my soul. As many of you guys can see, I can't stop smiling because these are the type of topics and discussions that I try to surround myself with. And I think a lot of us should try and surround ourselves with people who know where they are heading in life. You have mentioned something really important, and that was in regards to change being very uncomfortable for many of us. Change is very scary. The thought of actually making a change within yourself is the scariest thing I've actually ever experienced in my whole entire life. And I must admit that, in all honesty, the thought is scary itself. But once you make that change, you become very joyful that you are able to actually step out of your comfort zone and do something so different and very unique. So with that, how would you encourage the young South Sudanese women and men within our community to not be scared to make a change? Because as we can all see, years are actually running by so quick. And I think the time is now. What do you think?
Well, firstly, young people of today need guidance. We've seen in our community, there's not a lot of people that have role models. There's young people running by themselves and the oldest people running by themselves.
That's true.
Right. In order for you to grow, to change your environment, I'm not going to say to encourage young people to change their environment, but to look for the positive people, positive influence.
Yeah.
Positive influence, it play a really, really huge role in personal growth. Right. As I mentioned before, criminals will run with criminals. And also people that are very, very successful run with successful people.
That's true.
We see all the entrepreneurs, they run with entrepreneurs, right? In order for you to change and do something better in your life, you need to find someone, a guide, and someone who walk before you. Maybe they can go and you can hand their time and they can guide you and become a better person in your life. But before anything happen, you be willing to change first. You can't get out of your comfort zone if you don't want to change.
That's so true.
Change is uncomfortable, as I mentioned before. To do something significant, it requires a lot of hard work.
It does, yeah.
Sacrifice, determination, discipline. So influence, it's really, really, really very vital, especially in our community, the young people. So if you wanted to grow yourself, find someone who that you can learn from. I would say maybe learn from successful people.
That's it.
Okay, we can only learn from each other, but you can learn if you have humility. If you're not willing to learn, then nobody can help you.
That's it.
But if you're determined to learn, then someone can help you. Right? So you have to have humility if you wanted to learn, if you wanted to change, if you want the right influence in your life. Then you get out of your comfort zone and go look for those successful people.
That's it.
I hope that makes sense.
I think that's the trick in it. In all honesty, it makes a whole lot of sense. So, from my perspective, who you surround yourself with is who you become.
Yeah.
If you surround yourself, there's no such thing as good or bad people, because when we all think about it, we're all humans having a human experience. What we do here on planet Earth will shape who we are destined to be. So in regards to that, how crucial is it to be aware of your surroundings and your environment overall?
Self-awareness is very important. Self-awareness is very important. There's a saying that energy is contagious. Whatever you surround yourself with is who you become, either in the next 2 years or in the next 5 years. So that circle that you're in, that was a saying, I think it was Nipsey Hussle, say that if your circle of influence don't inspire you, that's not you. So you're in the cage.
Yeah.
Right? So having better people that can grow you, that can uplift you, that can influence you, it's very, very important. Surrounding yourself with positive people. If you see, they say that smiling win more friends than frowning. So if you're around people that are grumpy all the time, you will become grumpy. That's your environment. But if you're around people, positive people, people that want you to grow, that inspire you, not motivate you, because motivation doesn't last. If you surround yourself with those people, then 10 years from now or 5 years from now, you'll be in a different place. Right? I took that journey to grow myself, because I want to become a better person. I want to become a better father. I want to become a better brother. And I want to become a better leader. But before I became all this, I need to grow myself first. Be in that environment. They said that if the flower is not growing, you don't change the flower, you change the soil. So before you change your environment. Maybe your environment is holding you back. So evaluate that environment, evaluate your circle. I'm not saying that to change your circle, but ask yourself a question. Are they making me become a better person? Are they growing me? Am I learning from them? If you're not learning from your circle, then that circle is probably holding you back. So you have to think outside the box. But you'll be willing to change. If you wanted to change, you'll get out of that circle. You ask yourself, are they growing me? Are they uplifting me? Am I learning from them? Then if the answer is yes, then that's the right environment. If the answer is no, then you think outside the box. So who you surround yourself with is very, very important.
Oh wow!
It added into your personal growth, because those people you surround yourself with, they will either influence you or they will drag you down. Influence you positively or they will drag you down.
That's so true.
There's only two things.
Oh wow! I honestly wish I knew all of this way before I was 20, because that would have really helped me. I'm not gonna lie. I think I sort of figured my way out along the way and realized, hey, this group of friends is who I want to spend my time and energy with. And that group of friends, I don't think I want to put any time or energy into, because as human beings, we know between wrong and right. We have eyes that can see the truth. And it's so important to just be self-aware, like you've mentioned. self-awareness is very important. You got to know yourself. I always say this. It's so important to know yourself as a whole, as an individual. Take the time to get to know who you are, and your roots as well. So that was really good.
Let me just add on to knowing yourself. You say that before. There's 4 types of growth. You know yourself, you choose yourself, you create yourself, then you go give yourself. You can't give what you don't have.
That is so true.
Not at all. Creating yourself is you creating the environment that you're in.
Around you,
people around you. That's your environment. That's your soil. And then giving something that you have. You can't add value to other people if you don't add value to yourself. No. It will never happen.
Yeah.
So you know yourself, you choose yourself, you create yourself, which is your environment, then you go and give. Giving your soul, the soil.
Freely.
Freely, because you know exactly, this is what I have, this is what I'm going to give.
Yeah.
And that's very, very important. So these 4 growth areas, I had to evaluate myself. I know myself, I create myself, I choose myself, then I'll go give myself.
Oh, wow.
Before none of this, I can't do anything because I got nothing to give, I got nothing to create.
Yeah.
So it's very important to know yourself, you choose yourself, you create yourself, then you go give yourself. So we need that in our community.
We really do.
We need that, especially the youth. Growing yourself.
Yeah.
Lead yourself, then you might influence your friends positively.
Yeah.
Your friend can either criticize you or they will learn from you.
And if they criticize you, then are they really your true friends? Because yes, you can criticize someone, but it's easier to teach someone, right? Yeah. Because criticize comes with ego. Yeah. In our minds, we think we know it all.
Yeah.
But over time, as much as we think we know it, we know everything, we really don't. It's just a matter of actually learning. Absolutely. Adapting to the changes.
Having humility.
That's it, and empathy.
Yeah. Once you have humility, as I mentioned earlier, if you are willing to learn, if you're determined to learn, you can learn anything.
You can.
But if you're not willing to learn, nobody's going to teach you.
Like, just an example, I used to be so scared to drive.
Yeah.
The actual car.
I think we all do.
My fear of actually getting in the car, it just became so confusing. Everything. Yeah. I felt like I was actually driving a plane. First time I was told that you have to get your license, I was like, no, I'm happy to actually ride a bike. Because looking at the road, looking at the car, the internal side of the car itself, just gave me anxiety. But then guess what? Watching everyone have their license and actually driving around comfortably with their music pumping in their cars, I had to really sit down with myself and be like, look, Liz, I think you're being scared for nothing.
Action conquer fear. Action conquer fear. Fear, it can either hold us or it can move us forward.
Oh, wow.
So everybody is scared to change. They fear change because they think something's going to happen.
Yep.
So just like you fearing how to drive, but you overcome that.
I have.
It's incredible.
In all honesty, after driving for quite some time, can you believe I've actually started driving with one hand? You wouldn't think I was someone that was so scared to drive. I would drive, have my drink on one hand, and even, turn the steering wheel on the right hand. And I'd be like, wow. So that whole fear was just in my mind.
That's just like many people fear to change. I was in that environment where I was really, really scared to change. When I stepped my foot out of that circle, I became a different person.
Yeah.
Because I was in a different environment, positive environments. Now, I can also influence other people as well. People that are willing to learn, having humility, willing to change. If they're willing to change themselves, then they can actually go on and find somebody else that can be in that environment. But until then, that circle, it's going to remain the same people in the next 10, 20 years. It's, I would say your pain will change you. The pain that you experiencing internally will make you to change. I'm very, I would say, egotistic person. But I had to look at myself in the mirror. I need to change this person. And that's me being vulnerable to myself, being true to myself. I don't want to lie to myself.
Yeah. No.
And that's what got me to change. There's a lot of things that I wanted to change. But change takes time.
It does.
It takes time.
Yeah.
It's a journey. 12 months from now, you look back what you've done now. If you don't laugh at yourself, then you're not growing.
No.
6 months ago, I wasn't where I am. Mentally, physically, even spiritually. But I had to look at myself in the mirror. And the first question that come to my mind, what kind of man do I want to become?
Oh, wow. That's amazing.
What kind of a person, what kind of a father do I want to become? And that's when you ask yourself those kind of questions, you look at yourself in the mirror, the only person that you need to change is you, which is me. I had to change myself.
Yeah, of course.
I can't change nobody. Can't change nobody.
But yourself.
But I can only change yourself. But your pain
will change
is
you.
what's going to change you.
Oh, I've been there. I know that very well. How important is self-evaluation? Evaluating yourself. Not even on a yearly basis. On a day-to-day basis. Just sitting in a quiet space and reflecting on what you could have done. Right? Where you could have improved throughout the day. And what type of changes you're willing to make. So self-evaluation, to you, what is that?
Self-evaluation is very, very important. If you ever get mad at somebody for 5 minutes, and then you realize, even though you're right, you have to apologize to that person. That's self-evaluation. That's you knowing yourself. Whether you're wrong or you're not, you still have to apologize because you know yourself. You don't want to hold it.
Yeah.
Something happened to me today at work. I had a disagreement with a work colleague.
A colleague, yeah.
I know that I'm right, but I want to apologize to him.
Yeah. Because you're aware of yourself.
I'm aware of myself.
Yep.
I evaluate already because I don't want to hold it. Hey man, we had a disagreement. Maybe you're right. So you knowing, evaluating yourself, it comes from the growth that you had.
That's it.
In that journey. Other people might think that you're wrong, or you might think that you're right. But if you apologize, they will know exactly how this person, why is he apologizing?
It confuses people.
Confusing people.
Yeah.
So
Gets them thinking, like, what are they doing?
what are they doing?
Yeah, in their life.
Yeah, exactly. So you can evaluate yourself yearly, weekly, monthly.
Yeah.
It's just a personal thing. It's personal growth.
Yeah, it is
Like
personal growth.
For me personally, I evaluate myself, I think, on a daily basis. I have 2 daughters now. One is 3, one is 1 month old.
Oh.
Right? And the one that is 3 years old, she ruins everything in the house.
Yeah.
I can get mad.
Yeah.
But then after 5 minutes, I look back, oh, I should not have done that. I should not have yelled at her.
Yeah.
I should have told her this.
Yeah.
That's evaluation as well. You're evaluating yourself. You don't want to hold that very long time. Like emotion as well. Emotions, I don't know how to describe it, but we are not our emotions. Just like thoughts can come, we have 70,000 thoughts every day.
Wow.
70,000 thoughts from the moment that we get up to the moment that we go to bed. 70,000 thoughts. So we have to evaluate, not only evaluate ourselves, let's evaluate our thoughts. So you know exactly what you're saying to yourself. There was a person telling me last time that I have enemies. And I look at her, no, you don't have enemies. Just look at yourself in the mirror first.
You are your own enemy.
You are your own enemy. Just like our mind can be our greater enemy or our greater friend.
That's so true.
So we can make friend with our mind, or we can be enemy with our mind. So it's all come down to self-evaluation.
And I think that's why, like, whenever we think of a negative thought, right?
Yeah.
A reoccurring thought, very negative one, where your mind's at war.
Yeah.
And you're not even quite sure why.
Yeah.
You sort of try and switch it up with a positive thought.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And that's when you catch yourself realizing that, hey, that's not me.
Yeah.
You know, because that's how we feed our thoughts. It's very important to be aware of what we're feeding our minds.
Absolutely. You know, there's 2 wolves inside us that fight themselves. There's one represent jealousy. It represents unkindness. There's the other one represent love, compassion, security. If you feed negativity, it's what's going to win. If you feed insecurity, it's what's going to win. So what you put into your mind is what's going to win. From the moment you get up in the morning, what are you feeding yourself? What are you saying to yourself? So you start your day with a positive thought, you'll actually run the day. You run the day. So what we feed ourselves, it's what we're going to transfer to other people.
That's it. Energy transformation is real ad here.
Energy transformation.
And in all honesty, you just mentioned something about what we feed ourselves is what we'll bring out here. Whatever's in our mind, I've realized, like what you've just mentioned, whether it's positive or negative, is exactly what comes out here in the physical moment. So I used to think very negative. And I had to change that. It was very hard because as human beings, once we're immune to something, once we're used to a certain way of thinking, you got to really try and rewind it back and change it all over again. So I found it very difficult, but I finally got through that moment and realized that, you know, what I feed my mind is exactly what I'll bring out into this physical world.
Being vulnerable, now you're being vulnerable, you know exactly what you need to change and what you don't need to change.
Yeah.
So you're the light of other people. Because when other people come to you with their concerns, you also talk about yourself. You just mentioned that you used to have a negative thoughts and things like that. Now you're replacing those negative thoughts with positive thoughts.
Yeah.
Other person can come to you and say, "Hey, Liz, this is what I've gone through." You can also reflect it to yourself because you've changed. Now you're not only being the light of other people, you be the light of yourself.
Yeah.
Which is you lead yourself, as I mentioned earlier. Now you become the light of other people. You've walked that path already.
Yeah.
Now you guiding other people coming with you. This is what I've done, and this is what I get out of it. So negative thoughts, look at the news, it's all negative.
Yeah.
From the moment we turn on the TV, it's all negative.
Yeah.
But what we feed our mind is what we're going to get.
Yeah.
That's what going to win.
Like, speaking of the news, a lot of us have realized a couple of years ago that what we watch really rattles our mind, body, and soul. Programming. So many of us have actually stopped watching TV.
Yeah.
We've started streaming, started watching Netflix, all these other places where you could choose what you want to watch, you know. So, I just wanted to add that in. And just before we finish, I have two more questions. What has motivated you to actually begin leadership?
Yeah.
What has motivated you? Like, how did you just wake up one day and say, "Oh, I want to work on this. I want to, become a leader and help my community"? Because I'm not going to lie, in all honesty, you do have those qualities within you. You're someone that I think it would be easier for me to come to someone like you than go to a community leader. Because what I see in you, you have empathy. There's a lot of understanding. You carry a lot of those qualities in you. And I'd love to encourage you to keep going. I'm learning from you.
I appreciate it.
A lot.
I think we can all learn from each other. I mean, it's all about you having a humility, willing to learn from other people.
Yeah.
What really, really motivated me, I wouldn't say it's motivation, because motivation doesn't really last long. What really, really inspired me, the fact that I went back to Kakuma refugee camp back in 2018 to attend the birth of my daughter.
Yeah.
So when I went there, because I came to Kakuma refugee camp when I was 12, probably 13, around there.
Yeah.
And I've seen the life. I started going to church, and I was nominating as just to be a church Sunday school leader and things like that. So
were you a part of the choir?
I was part of the Sunday school.
Oh, okay.
So that's where everything started.
Yeah.
And we had a little bit of young men leadership group.
Yeah.
Where we encourage ourselves to become better people.
Yeah.
So I spoke earlier about the environment.
Yeah.
So I grew up in church where young men, 14, 12, and after 18, they're helping each other grow to become better people.
Yeah.
That's what got me into to do leadership and personal development. When I came to Australia, I didn't actually think about. I don't know anything about personal and leadership development because I didn't have that guidance.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that's what really, really got me to do personal developments in leadership, just growing myself.
Yeah.
And who knows, one day I could be an inspiration to other young men.
Absolutely. Yeah. In all honesty, like you've just mentioned Kakuma, and with everything that's going on back in our motherland, I think these are the sort of steps that we really need to take forward, as a collective, as a whole, individually. And something very important that you mentioned tonight is actually being able to lead yourself first, knowing yourself. It's very important to start from scratch because, you can't begin something without first acquiring those things within yourself. So I'm really thankful to have your perspectives and thoughts. After COVID, right? What would you say about, providing programs for people within our community? Doesn't have to be just the women. Like for young people, for our mums, anyone, because we're all trying to have that type of knowledge. We're all trying to learn from each other, because I believe we're all each other's teachers. I learn from you, and so on and so forth. So after COVID, hopefully when that ends, my perspective, I think it would be really good if you guys could organize those type of leadership programs, for example, or maybe just a day event where you could organize a couple of people as well to come together and talk like this. What do you think about that?
I think we have a lot of inspiration young men within our community. They have that within themselves, but they need to unleash. They have to release it to other people. COVID, I wouldn't say it's up and down. I can say negative and I can say positive about COVID. After COVID, definitely, community been separated for probably almost 2 years now. None of the people see themselves, especially the youth. We've seen a lot of tragedies happening in our communities because people are not close enough. It would be really great to get everybody together, to get all the youth together, come together and just share that positivity. Maybe they can share their experience. There's a lot of young South Sudanese African kids finishing year 12 online. That's never happened.
Ever.
If we can organize something, they can come and share their story. How does it feel to finish high school online?
During lockdown.
Who would have thought? It would be great to get everybody together. All the youth, even the oldest people too, they can come and share their perspective on how they've gone through COVID. Because COVID will end. It shall pass. Everything will go.
It will.
But what we put into our mind, it will never go. So we definitely need that environment. Everybody come together, share their experience, what they've gone through COVID, and how they get through it. So it would be really great to get all the youth together and just come and celebrate.
Beautiful.
Celebrate us.
Well, hey, if you put that into work, you know that you got my vote, and I will be right there. So let me know. So you've mentioned something really important just before we close off. With COVID, you mentioned that it's like a balance. It's a scale, like the scale of justice. So it's half positive, half negative. But like at the start of it, we all thought it was very negative. I'm not going to lie, we were all freaking out. But thinking about it, everything happens for a reason.
Absolutely.
I'm a believer. I believe in God. And I feel like the world before COVID was just so busy with the materialistic possessions. Not paying attention to ourselves. And I feel like COVID, I'm sorry to say, but God had to do something to slow each and every one of us down. It's both negative and both positive. But look, everyone has actually took the time during COVID to get to know themselves, took the time to sit down with themselves in solitude and learn about themselves. I've even started cooking some very funny stuff at home because of out of boredom. When there's nothing to do, no studying to do, you just go to the kitchen and start making things. Before that, I don't think I found myself in the kitchen much, because the girls would be like, let's go here, let's go there. But I think we will continue to keep this up after COVID because it has made us so aware and so self-involved. We're very involved with ourselves individually now. So just before we close off for tonight, would you like to provide any information to the community? You mentioned that we have a lot of young men in our community who, I'm going to be very honest, are very smart, very intelligent, and they just don't have the right resources. They don't have the right mentors or role models to look up to. So what would you say to our community?
I think I've got a bad news for the community. Nah, not really. I think most of the honest people, they're into politics.
Yeah.
Not the Australian politics, but they're into South Sudanese.
South Sudanese, yeah.
And we need to concentrate more here rather than us focusing back home.
And bring our focus here.
I'm not saying that we can't focus back home, but here it's very, very important we focus here. We see a lot of young men during this lockdown. There's a lot of things happen, particularly in South Sudanese community.
There is.
It's a young men. I will hate to say this. There's probably about 4 or 5 young men who took their life.
Yeah, due to suicide.
Due to suicide, things like that.
Yeah.
When we look at that, there's a little gap. There's a little gap that we need to close. So with the community leaders, talk to your kids, get to know your kids.
That's it.
Have that one-on-one time with your kids.
Yeah.
And especially right now.
And build trust and rapport with them.
We definitely need it.
We need it.
We definitely need it. So we need these young men that have it before right now.
Yeah.
All the young men that have voices in the community, we need that. Not only the Sudanese community, the African in general, African in Australia. We need that voice. We need those young men that can help other people. Okay, especially this lockdown, we need it. We need it. Just pick up the phone, call someone, speak to someone one-on-one.
Yeah,
that's gonna help.
It is. It is.
That's gonna help.
Absolutely.
So,
that's amazing. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to actually join me in the studio tonight, and I'm sure this will not be the last time for us to have a sit down.
Absolutely.
We'll definitely call each other and continue this. But apart from that, I would like to say thank you to all our viewers for taking the time to tune in tonight. I do pray that you guys stay safe, stay positive, and make sure you always check on each other during these tough times. Until next time, thank you for tuning in on the Voices of South Sudanese Women. Thank you.